Hi, my name is Bill Carmody, and I'm the Marketing Whisperer. Today, I have the CEO and founder of Wheels Up, Kenny Dichter. How you doing, Kenny?
All good. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. So here's the interesting thing. Most people who are watching this little video segment are thinking, private travel, private aviation, there's no chance in the world that I'm going to be able to afford this. And I think you have a different idea here. So let's get into some sort of like why an entrepreneur might be able to be closer to private travel than they might think.
Well, first thing is our mission here at Wheels Up is to democratize private aviation, to make the TAM, as we say in the marketing world, the addressable market a little bit bigger. We have a very special asset at the core of our program, the King Air 350i. I like to call the King Air 350i the flying SUV. 40 years ago, there were a lot of station wagons, or 35 years ago, station wagons were king in the suburban driveways. There was something called the SUV, the Range Rover, the Ford Bronco, that really replaced the station wagon. It disintermediated that asset. And the King Air really is there disintermediating the light jet market at $39.50 an hour for 8 seats. You can take a family of 5 and a couple of friends with you for less than the cost of commercial aviation.
That's great. What I'm really fascinated is your career has really gone from starting the Marquis Jets, right? You were the founder of Marquis Jets, and then the 25-hour cards. You've really been honing in on sort of the changes in aviation. And what I look at is it's really interesting for me because, I think there's this macro trend of access to everything and ownership of nothing. It's almost the Uber of, right? Everybody talks about that. But what you're starting to going down to is this ability to access private travel and private planes without actually having to own a private plane, right? And I think this is a fascinating trend in our industry today.
It's the membership economy. Nobody has to own anything anymore. Nobody wants to take residual risk on airplanes and own the asset. It's not like real estate. Airplane values go down like car values every year. It's why the leasing business got so big and made cars more accessible to the masses. The addressable market for our product, when the Wright brothers created private aviation in December 17th, 1903, only 113 years ago. It's a new business. There's been several, big moves made since the Wright brothers. Richard Santulli and Warren Buffett, the two guys that taught me this business. Richard started NetJets in 86 and Warren bought him out in 98. That was the first big taking the pyramid and making it bigger.
Right.
Marquis Jet, my company, in 2001, made the addressable market go from 10 or 20 or 30,000 people down to a few 100,000 people. Wheels Up with its membership model, there's millions of people that can now fly privately. And as I always say to my entrepreneurial friends, you're one deal away from flying privately.
And I think that's what it comes down to is that I think for most entrepreneurs, they would love to fly privately. They would love to have access to private jets that they can fly around the world. And I think from their misconception is that that's so viciously expensive that it's not within their reach, right? And it's sort of that general feeling, that old saying, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And
True.
I think
our model at $29,500 for a corporation, $17,500 for an individual, and we have a new membership called 8760, which is our tow-in, our social aviation membership, ride-sharing, hot flights, all of that type of stuff, $59.50 per year.
Wow.
I would say that there's a lot of people out there, if they're trying to advance their business or they want to move around privately, that they can afford that.
See, I look at it almost like, the way you set this up from a membership, I think about it in terms of like country clubs, right? It's the idea that not everybody's going to come in, but those people who do, they've paid their dues, there's still green fees involved, but you now have access to a community that's just a whole nother level for your business.
Not a question. And I want to say that when we set up the Wheels Up model, the membership model, the annual dues for our program are less than $10,000 per year after you've paid your initiation.
That's great.
So our model's more Amazon Prime or Costco or Netflix than NetJets. So we're running for the people. We sell our product through Costco, And we're democratizing private aviation.
And that's what's fascinating to me, because you're seeing this hit in every industry. When you think about sort of how Netflix destroyed Blockbuster, then in that space, and sort of having the ability to sort of get on-demand movies, or you look at Uber in terms of on-demand travel for taxi cabs, you're creating this sort of Uber of private travel, where you're now getting able to sort of have on-demand private flights for either you, your family, your business, whatever you're going after.
Well, your flight department is now your smartphone. Literally, you're on your phone, you hit 3 buttons, you make your reservation, and you get to the airport and your plane's there. With less than 24 hours of notice, you can have a plane in all 50 states just by hitting a couple of buttons. There's never been a time in history where we can geolocate airplanes, pilots, and we can geolocate our members. And that's a very, very powerful piece of the puzzle here, technology.
It's great. I mean, I think it seems like it's a triple win, right? Because for people who want to fly privately, you're making it accessible to those people. For the pilots, they're going to be able to fly more. For the people that actually own the planes, they're going to get their planes out and being used more often. I think for all of these reasons, it's a great economy and it's a great model. I want to get into sort of like why someone as an entrepreneur would actually decide to fly privately in the first place. What are some of the advantages? I think for someone who's never flown privately, this is sort of a new idea, and it's really going to get them to think different about what's possible for them.
Yes, entrepreneurs and people that were going to fly privately many, many years into their future can now fly privately in their 20s and 30s and 40s, where this was really reserved in the old days for a different type of customer at a different generation. So I think, like a lot of the other tech disrupting firms, is we are, through technology, through the King Air 350i, through our unique membership model, making it possible for people a lot younger in their work cycle, their entrepreneurial cycle, to have access to this asset class. And again, I would say that getting from A to B to C, if you're a CEO or an entrepreneur and doing it all in one day, and of course entrepreneurs have to fight the balance thing, the big B, you got to get home for the Little League game, you got to get home for dinner. You can do 3-4 cities in a day and get home for dinner flying Wheels Up. And that makes you a lot more effective as an entrepreneur, as a CEO, as a parent.
Well, and that's one of the truisms of entrepreneurship. You either have time or money, right? And so basically, if you're trying to get yourself more time, it's how do you spend your money more wisely so that you have the ability to be where you need to be, including your family and your home life. I love that.
The biggest commodity that you have in your life, or the biggest the resource, is your time. Mm-hmm. And again, commercial aviation has gotten much more challenging post 9/11. The TSA, everyone complains, but they're doing a great job.
Yeah,
it takes hours and hours and hours for them to get it right. And if you want to fly safely, we don't know a better system yet than to have TSA at commercial airports. And I applaud all the folks that work there. But there is a better solution if you need to be in 3 places at once. And it's the private system. And again, Wheels Up is in unique position with its King Air 350i fleet. We'll finish the year at 75 airplanes from a standing start 3 years ago, several $100 million of revs, many, many Fortune 1000 companies using us to supplement their fleets. And the great news is over 3,500 members have joined our membership tiers in the last 3 years. So
that's great.
We feel like we're just getting started. But, whenever I want to get inspired, I just look back to Orville and Wilbur, North Carolina, only 113 years ago, the first flight. Before that, everybody was looking up at the birds.
So tell me, when you look at this in terms of the model you've created, I'm really interested. The idea that, you started off with these 25-hour cards where people could basically just use the cards on sort of pay-as-you-go almost, approach.
Yep.
Now, why did you move to membership? And what's the advantage of membership versus either fractional ownership or having some sort of an hourly card that you could use for private travel?
Flexibility. Membership means, and you said it before with the golf club analogy, if you want to fly 5 hours a year or 500, you're treated the same way at Wheels Up. The fractional model, the card model that we came up with way back in 2001, there was a lot less flexibility. You had to pick a specific plane type, so you couldn't move up and down the fleet without paying an interchange fee. Mm-hmm. Here we wanted to democratize it, no fuel surcharges at Wheels Up. All of the fractional programs, all of the card programs include fuel surcharges. So there's a lot of flexibility and predictability in our membership model
Hmm.
Allows entrepreneurs and folks that don't know exactly what they're going to do year to year to be in this model and use it as they so need.
Well, and that's interesting. I've flown 1.5 million miles on United, so I've got the commercial system down pat. I
I
don't.
didn't know you were into pain.
And that's exactly what I was going to go after. So knowing sort of like, is there like a threshold of the number of actual commercial flights that someone would take that would actually make it sort of like a tipping point to say, if you flew this many times in a year or this many miles per year, this type of a membership-based program is a really great alternative to what you're doing today?
Well, I would say this is quantity versus quality on the meetings that you're taking. You have to be a lot of different places, and at 1.5 million miles is that's living in the air.
Yes.
That is just listening to that profile. I know that there's 20 or 25 hours you could have done privately at similar rates to what you're paying walk-up commercial.
Yeah.
You're traveling with a few colleagues, and I think that there is that profile just screaming to me that there's 20 or 25 hours in your profile. 35% of the folks that we're acquiring as members at Wheels Up never flew privately before. So
Yes.
that just tells you the market is moving our way. And again, I think that for us to be successful and to grow and keep private aviation as powerful as it is, it means we have to bring in new people into the pyramid. And again, if 35% of our people never flew privately before as a lead passenger, I know that we're doing that.
So tell me, if you're looking at this from the perspective of a CFO versus a CEO, the CEO is looking at this saying, greater lifestyle, awesome ability to have more flexibility, being able to do the things that I want to do. If you're looking at this from a financial perspective, is this a replacement?
Well, I would say this: the King Air 350i has dramatically lowered the price of flying privately by 50%. So what I always say is CEOs like it and CFOs love it.
Okay.
That's my catchphrase for Wheels Up.
And how is this membership an asset then to the company and not treated as a liability, right? So what is this that basically really helps to drive this business forward?
Well, it's simple. The companies that use private aviation, according to the MBAA and to Gamma, which are the two big industry players, those companies have had much more successful stock performance in the public markets over the last 50 years. So using this tool is like, the companies that have rotary phones and don't have iPhones. I think the companies with the iPhones, even though they cost more, are doing better. So it's really a question of efficiency. And all of the companies that we deal with are using this in a very appropriate and responsible way. And the truth is time is money. And if you can get to more places and see more people and spend more time with your customers and also have people rested. And by the way, all of our planes are fully connected. You can make phone calls. It's called talk and text. Mm-hmm. We use the GoGo system. They're connected. You have full internet capability. It's like you never left the ground.
That's great. That's wonderful. So there's an efficiency play as well.
By the way, that's all free. All that connectivity is free.
That's great. So tell me, in terms of as you're sort of looking at the membership itself, help me understand some of the benefits of membership. So I know it gives you access to the fleet. Are there other benefits and things that people get when they sign on for membership?
The average person is flying in our program 25 to 30 hours a year.
Okay.
There's 8,760 hours in a year. So that means 8,730 of them, they're not flying. Mm-hmm. We created a program that enriches our members' lives called Wheels Down, whether it's the Masters with the people that are calling the Masters or our golfers, whether it's the Super Bowl where we're doing some great programming down there, or if it's having Frank Luntz, who's the #1 pollster in America, hosting phone calls after the debates for Wheels Up members. We're trying to do a lot of extracurriculars off the ramp for our members to make our membership more robust. We have a partnership with a company called 400 that is the premier concierge company in the world. Included in your membership with Wheels Up, no additional monies, you have 24/7, 365 access to 400.
That's awesome. And I understand you have a pink and you have a teal plane. Tell me a little bit about sort of the charity overlay here.
Well, we have an initiative that we call Wheels Up Cares. It was born out of the pink plane that we collaborated with Textron, our partner in Wichita, Kansas, that makes our airplane, Beechcraft Corporation, part of Textron Aviation. And we took our first what we call awareness airplane last September for Breast Cancer Awareness Month in October of last year. We raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for breast cancer. The Dubin Breast Center in New York was the beneficiary. But more important, we float the pink plane in the fleet, which means that the pink plane is treated like any other plane. And when our customers, it's 800 hours worth of flying in a given year with members on the plane, thousands of people have seen that pink plane. Every one of them asked, what is that about? And at 35,000 feet, breast cancer now has a billboard that's flying all over the country every day.
That's awesome.
Enter the teal plane.
Yeah.
One of our members, Ricky and Mara Sandler, said, we love the pink plane, but our cause is ovarian cancer. Mara's mom, Janet Burrows, passed away, and they made it a life's mission to create awareness for ovarian cancer. Their color is teal. Their month is September. Ricky and Mara and their foundation, they made a personal pledge of $250,000 for us to get the program started. We matched by doing $500 per membership in September. We'll do over 100 memberships in September, so another 50. You have $300,000 raised, and we haven't even started yet. And the teal plane is going to fly thousands of people over the next 12 months, and it's going to stay in the fleet forever. So we want to add a different airplane for a different cause every year. And again, that's part of our Wheels Up Cares initiative. We're very lucky to be in position to be able to help out different causes. And, it's our civic duty as people and entrepreneurs and people of the citizens of the earth to do fun things with our assets when we can for good causes.
So I look at people like Tony Robbins and Grant Cardone and, all these folks that have their private planes or flying private. What else would you tell entrepreneurs about flying private? Like, what are some of the things that they're probably not thinking about? What are some of the amazing things that you've seen in terms of transformations to the people that actually have joined your program? What is it really opening up for entrepreneurs?
First thing I'll do is I'll quote my old boss, Warren Buffett, who said, once you fly private, flying commercial is like going back to holding hands. So it's an incredible way to fly. And again, he's referring to the convenience and the effectiveness of what you can do with private aviation versus commercial. You can only be in one place at a time commercially.
Right.
You probably bump your efficiency 200-400% if you were flying privately. So all the entrepreneurs and business people out there, if you're not flying privately on the missions that you need to, you may as well go back to your rotary phone.
Mm-hmm.
That's A. B is the people that you meet in our program via being a member, even if you're not a big flyer. Your one dinner, if we have a dinner with, like we did last week with Brett Baer of Fox and Ari Fleischer, who was formerly George Bush's press secretary, the 70 or 80 people in the room, those are all people that potentially could invest in your next business, be your next largest customer. The like-mindedness of people that are flying in our club is very, very powerful.
That's great.
The person you're next to at the Super Bowl party could be in the industry that you're looking to extend your product to. So there's a lot of like-mindedness in the club, and I think that's a real powerful reason to join Wheels Up and to fly privately.
Well, I think an old commercial for Mercedes-Benz was, show your neighbors that you've arrived just a little bit earlier than they were expecting, right? Yep. I think that would very much applies here too. If you're actually flying around privately, what a fantastic way to close a deal. It's like for someone who doesn't fly privately, like, hey, why don't I help take you to the place you need to go? We'll fly together and then basically do the deal on the actual plane itself. And I think that also is it's an amazing perk to be able to do to some of your clients.
Not a question. And again, I think the Mercedes example you just cited, it's the ultimate arrival.
Yes.
Flying privately in America in 2016, you've arrived. Game on.
You must be doing well.
Game on. Send me the documents.
That's right.
Send me the docs. Let me sign the stuff. Give me the wire information.
That's great. Is there anything else that you want to add about flying private? Is there anything else that you want to help make sure entrepreneurs know?
Well, I would just say for all the entrepreneurs out there, time is your biggest asset. There's only 365 days in a year and 24 hours in a day. We like to say our culture at Wheels Up is the 87-60 culture. Yeah. That's how many hours in a year there are. The more efficient you can be as an entrepreneur, the better you're going to be. Your results are going to be. And I think there's nothing more powerful as a business person or entrepreneur than flying privately, appropriately, using it when you can't use the commercial system, and you can get from A to B to C to D in a day and cover that much more ground than you would have covered in the commercial system. And that there is no bigger commercial than we will save you time, and time equals money. So if time equals money and we will save you time, become a Wheels Up member.
Love it. I'll circle back to one of the early things I said in the program, which was, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And I think one of the biggest sort of barriers that most entrepreneurs have is they just, in their mind, they can't ever possibly see themselves flying private. And I think that's the what we want to break through here, is the fact that it's not this hundreds of thousands of dollars that you think it is. You know, it is a much more accessible place, and you've become the Uber of the sky. You know, being able to make sure that you have access to these flights when you need them.
I violently agree. If you're open for doing a commercial for Wheels Up, that would be my 60 seconds right there. So we
Awesome.
can end it with there. And I just say wheelsup.com if anybody's interested in learning more. I'm happy to take the call. If you're a 50-hour flyer, I'll take the call myself, and I'll do the deal. Kenny D will bring you into the membership.
Awesome. Kenny Dichter, thank you so much. I think you have an incredible company. It sounds a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to seeing more and more of your success over the next few years. Thank you so much.
And I'm looking forward to something that I call Air Carmody. So that 1.5 million miles, I'm doing the math in my head. I know there's 20 to 25 in there. So Air Carmody coming to you soon via Wheels Up.
All right. Well, hey, you heard it here first. All right. Thank you so much, Kenny.
By the way, if you believe it can happen.
I know. I believe it. I absolutely
Let's go.
believe it. All right, man. Have a good day. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.